Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the English Daily Book Summary YouTube channel. In order to not stop learning, listen to an English book summary every day for free.
Neil Price, Children of Ash and Elm, A History of the Vikings. The Viking Age, starting with a dramatic raid on June 8, 793 CE at the Northumbrian monastery of Lindisfarne, has left a deep imprint on history, fascinating scholars and the public alike for centuries. While they are often enshrined in popular culture as fierce raiders with horned helmets, the Vikings' legacy is multifaceted, involving not only conquest but also significant cultural exchanges across Europe and beyond. In this blink, we'll be exploring this enigmatic period, which spanned from the late 8th to the early 11th century, a transformative era that saw Norse seafarers emerge from the fringes of historical obscurity to shape medieval Europe. We won't just unravel who the Vikings were, pirates, traders, and poets whose influences are embedded in everything from modern language to literature, but also try to understand their complex societies. As we'll discover, the Vikings were far more than the marauding barbarians they're often portrayed to be. Their story is one of complexity, creativity, and influence, a tale that challenges the stereotypes and reveals the depth of their civilization. Viking societies had deep roots in Scandinavia. The Viking Age, which lasted from around 750 to 1050 CE, was the latest chapter in Scandinavia's long prehistory that stretched back to the end of the Ice Age, around 12,000 BCE. By the Iron Age, defined around 500 BCE to 400 CE, Scandinavia had established itself apart from the influence of the Roman Empire, cultivating a landscape dotted with farms and villages, particularly in its northern territories. This period saw Scandinavians engaging in widespread trade with peoples to their south, importing goods ranging from weapons to luxury items like wine sets, which linked them culturally and economically to the Mediterranean world. The socio-political landscape of Scandinavia was heavily influenced by its geographical features, with water playing a crucial role. The rise of water levels made the region a nexus of archipelagos and natural harbours, facilitating the Vikings' mastery of maritime navigation. However, elite power centres remained primarily land-based, characterised by significant settlements and monumental buildings known as halls. These halls, which evolved from the traditional longhouse, were centres of social and political life, where rulers displayed their wealth and reinforced their social status through feasts and rituals. The mid-6th century brought significant turmoil to Scandinavia due to volcanic eruptions that led to severe climate changes, causing crop failures and abrupt depopulation in some areas. This period of strife, known as the Dust Veil, left a profound impact on the region, both environmentally and culturally. The social upheaval of this time is believed to have influenced Viking mythology, including tales of a great winter that foreshadowed the end of the world. Despite these challenges, the late 6th century marked a period of recovery and reorganization. New social structures emerged, characterized by pronounced social stratification and the development of land ownership rights. These changes set the stage for the Viking Age, a time when Scandinavia saw the consolidation of regional polities and the rise of powerful kings who controlled large territories through diplomatic and military means. As the Viking Age progressed, Scandinavia continued to be a dynamic and multicultural hub, evidenced by bustling market centres where traders from across Europe and beyond converged. Viking society, with its complex web of social, economic, and political ties, was an integral part of the medieval world, leaving a legacy still evident in the historical and archaeological record today. The family unit played a key role in Viking culture. The fabric of Viking society was intricately woven through kinship and community relations, which stood as the foundation for survival and social identity. The nuclear family, extended through blood, marriage, and fostering, was pivotal, acting as a bulwark against the harsh and often volatile socio-political landscape of late Iron Age Scandinavia. To exist outside these kinship bonds was to be marginalized from the organized social structure, highlighting the critical role of family in Viking society. Marriage in this era was more than a personal union. It was a strategic alliance that bolstered familial networks and established political connections. Negotiations and substantial exchanges, including dowries and multiple payments, underlined the economic and social considerations of marital alliances. These alliances were not just social contracts, but were deeply embedded in the Viking strategy for navigating politically turbulent times. Polygyny, where a man could have multiple wives, was not uncommon and had significant political and social ramifications. It allowed wealthier men to extend their networks through multiple marital alliances, demonstrating the intersection of personal relationships with broader political strategies. The presence of concubinage added another layer to these complex relationship dynamics, serving various social functions from romantic to political. The societal norms surrounding relationships and marriage in Viking Age Scandinavia underscored a sophisticated understanding of social structures and the power of alliances. These arrangements were strategic, designed to enhance family ties and consolidate power within the fiercely independent and often fragmented Viking communities. Women in Viking society, while operating within a patriarchal framework, enjoyed a notable degree of agency, particularly in domestic and economic spheres. Prior to the Christian conversion, it was relatively easy for women to initiate divorces, indicating a significant level of independence. The narratives from this period, including saga literature, often depict women actively shaping their social environments, challenging the traditional views of passive female roles in historical narratives. The Vikings' social tapestry was not static. It evolved significantly over time, influenced by environmental challenges, cultural exchanges, and internal developments. The Viking Age was marked by an interplay of maintaining tradition and adapting to new circumstances, which was reflected in how communities organized themselves and interacted with the wider world. Viking societies had sophisticated legal systems. The Viking Age, often misconstrued in modern narratives as a period dominated by relentless raiding and violence, was fundamentally structured around a respect for the law and community governance. The cornerstone of the Vikings' societal framework was the Thing, a form of assembly that exemplifies early democratic principles, combining legal, social, and commercial functions. These assemblies, pivotal to the governance and social structure of Viking communities, took place at regular seasonal intervals, serving not only as courts, but also as vital centers for trade, negotiation, and social bonding. In these gatherings, which could be seen as early forms of participatory democracy, community members convened to discuss and resolve legal matters, forge and renew alliances, and engage in trade. The sites of these assemblies, often strategically positioned near significant cemeteries and natural landmarks, provide archaeological insights into the political landscape of Scandinavia. Notably, the arrangement of structures within these sites often mirrored the geographical layout of the regions they represented, a testament to the Vikings' meticulous organizational and cognitive mapping skills. In contrast to the often sensationalized portrayal of Vikings as bloodthirsty warriors, these assemblies highlight their capacity for governance and diplomacy. The shift from a combined space of military, legal, and ritual activities in the Iron Age to distinct areas dedicated to each by the end of the Viking Age marks an evolution in their societal organization, reflecting a separation of powers that laid the groundwork for more modern governance structures. In drawing from Viking governance practices, there is a philosophical lesson in the importance of structured communal interaction and the rule of law. These principles, central to Viking society, underscore the timeless relevance of governance structures that balance individual agency with collective welfare. This balance is critical not only for societal stability, but also for the personal growth and development of its members. providing a framework within which individuals can pursue personal betterment while contributing to the common good. The Vikings believed they shared their world with many creatures and gods. The Vikings' beliefs regarding their origins drew on a complex mythology that reveals much about their perceptions of fate and the universe. This worldview wasn't a religious backdrop, it was deeply interwoven with their daily lives. At the heart of Viking cosmology was the concept of a world formed from a primordial void known as Ginnungagap. From this great emptiness emerged the elements of fire and ice, whose interplay created Ymir, the first giant, and a cow, Audumbla, whose actions led to the birth of the first gods. The world the Vikings inhabited in the present, meanwhile, was believed to be one of several realms held together by Yggdrasil, the world tree. Human beings, represented by the first humans, Ask and Embla, also known as the children of Ash and Elm, lived in Midgard, the middle realm, surrounded by other worlds inhabited by gods, giants, and other beings. This spatial organization of the universe into interconnected worlds reflects the Vikings' perception of a connected and interdependent reality, where different planes of existence influence each other and where the gods interact directly with the world of men. Central to the Viking worldview was the concept of an inevitable apocalypse, Ragnarök, where the gods would fall and the world would be reborn from the ashes. This cycle of ending and renewal underscored a fundamental belief in the impermanence of existence and the importance of living a life worthy of memory. The gods themselves were seen as powerful yet fallible, involved in the world's affairs and subject to the same cycles of struggle and renewal as humans. Their fates were intertwined with those of men and women, with both facing a final destiny that could neither be avoided nor fully controlled. The Vikings' mythology, then, was not merely a set of tales about gods and heroes, but a comprehensive framework that informed their understanding of the world and their place within it. This cosmology, with its emphasis on cycles of destruction and renewal, the impermanence of power, and the importance of living a life of honor, was geared toward the pursuit of a life that transcended the ephemeral, aiming for a legacy that endured beyond individuals' lifetimes. Christianity helped consolidate Viking kingdoms. Over the course of just 300 years, Scandinavian society experienced a remarkable transformation. What was once a fragmented collection of regional polities evolved into centralized states, ruled by emerging royal dynasties and shaped by the growing influence of Christianity. Initially characterized by numerous small kingdoms striving to extend their influence, Scandinavia was largely regional and fragmented. These kingdoms, strategically positioned along resource-rich coastlines and fertile valleys, were bound by familial ties and the martial prowess to support their dominion. This era was punctuated by internal strife and civil wars, fueled by familial rivalries that often spilled over into broader Viking activities abroad. Many who found themselves on the losing side of these conflicts sought fortunes as raiders or in foreign lands, further intertwining Scandinavia's internal dynamics with broader European affairs. Over time, these pressures led to the absorption or dissolution of smaller kingdoms, paving the way for the emergence of the more recognizable states of Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. The unification of kingdoms is linked with the saga of Harald Fairhair in Norway, who, according to legend, unified Norway under his rule in 872. However, the veracity of this claim and the extent of this unification remain subjects of debate. Notwithstanding these legendary accounts, local power dynamics persisted, suggesting a more gradual and complex process of state formation. The influence of Christianity cannot be understated in this transformation. Introduced from the south by Frankish missionaries in the 9th century, Christianity soon became a cornerstone for both cultural and political change. The adoption of Christianity by Scandinavian elites was not merely a spiritual conversion, but a strategic enhancement of their political authority, offering a new framework through which to legitimize and centralize power. The Church's role extended beyond spiritual domains into the administrative and political arenas, helping to solidify burgeoning state structures. It provided kings with a divine sanction that not only justified their rule, but also facilitated the establishment of more stable hereditary systems. The symbiosis between the Church and royal authority was cemented through substantial land grants to the Church, embedding it within the socio-political hierarchy and enriching its influence across Scandinavia. There are many overlaps between the Viking Age and the medieval period that followed it. The conclusion of the Viking Age wasn't a single moment in time. It was a seamless transition into evolving medieval landscapes. The English historical narrative, which seeks to neatly package this era, cannot contain its sprawling complexities. In 1069, the exiled English Prince Edgar sought assistance from Svein Astridason of Denmark to reclaim English territories from Norman control. This effort saw the deployment of a large Danish fleet that managed to seize York temporarily. However, a retreat soon followed. The efforts to exert control over England persisted, with Knuta the Holy of Denmark preparing an invasion fleet in 1085, only to abandon these plans due to looming conflicts with the Holy Roman Empire. Meanwhile, Norwegian influence continued to dominate the Scottish Isles well into the 1260s, and the Northern Isles remained under Norwegian control until their mid-15th century annexation by Scotland. On the Scandinavian mainland, Viking decline intertwines with the consolidation of state power, punctuated by episodes of civil unrest and warfare, yet also periods of stability aiding national unification. Denmark's transformation epitomized this era's potential. After years of civil turmoil, Danish kings leveraged wars against external enemies to divert internal tensions and solidify their rule. A centralized monarchy, deeply aligned with European norms of kingship and stabilized further by ecclesiastical endorsement, had finally emerged. Norway's narrative mirrored these themes of strife and gradual consolidation. From 1130 to 1240, the Norwegian crown saw no less than 46 contenders, reflecting the volatile tradition of electoral royal succession. These civil conflicts eventually gave way to a more expansive era under King Haakon IV, who, from 1220 onwards, sought to extend Norwegian influence to Iceland and Greenland. This ambition culminated in Iceland's submission to Norwegian rule in 1262, marking a shift towards state modernization under Haakon's reign. Sweden's journey through this period was marked by persistent regionalism and strife between rival factions, which delayed its consolidation compared to its neighbours. Christian influence was slower to take root, with ecclesiastical power concentrated in the south and often clashing with enduring pagan traditions. These narratives collectively challenge the notion of a clear demarcation between the Viking Age and the Middle Ages. Instead, they highlight a continuum of social transformation, driven not solely by monarchs and the aristocracy, but gradually permeating all levels of society. This ideological evolution, though slow and fraught with resistance, gradually aligned Scandinavian societies more closely with their European contemporaries, fostering a unified state under a singular monarchic and religious framework. The Viking Age's legacy, therefore, is not a relic of the past, but a bridge to modern Scandinavian identity, crafted through centuries of conflict, adaptation, and cultural fusion. In this blink to Children of Ash and Elm by Neil Price, you've learned that the Viking Age was a pivotal period in Scandinavian history, characterized by deep connections to the land and sea, sophisticated social structures, and dynamic political transformations. Vikings valued kinship and community, integrating strategic marriages and alliances into their societal fabric. Their governance was marked by assemblies that combined legal, social, and commercial functions, reflecting a complex worldview influenced by mythology and the integration of Christianity, which reshaped their cultural and political landscapes. Okay, that's it for this blink. We hope you enjoyed it. If you can, please take the time to leave us a rating. We always appreciate your feedback. See you in the next blink.